Patricia Gibson.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And I want to begin by thanking the Procedure Committee for producing this report. And it occurred to me, as I was listening to this, like all big changes, and I think we're maybe making this out to be a bigger change than it is, but like all big changes, I thought, this is a bit like before we had the smoking ban in public places. You know, people saw all sorts of unintended consequences, but actually, once we did it, we thought, why did it take us so long? I think it's absolutely right that we and every workplace recognises that having a child is a life-changing event for new mothers and for new fathers. And every workplace, this place included, should try to be as family-friendly as possible. But I do share the concern of the member for Harrow East that I think we're not being ambitious enough. I think we shouldn't be timid and we should ask if we agree with the principle of proxy voting, and I think everybody here does, then we should extend it to people in other challenging circumstances, like members who are suffering from illness, members who have a spouse or a close family member who is living with an illness, or the death of a child or a partner. So people have talked about the very special bond between the parents and their new baby, and that's why that category should be different. But what I would say to you is that while it is very important for parents to spend time with their new baby, it's also very important for members of this House to be able to spend time with a loved one who is dying. And I think if we accept the principle of proxy voting, then we should be more generous in our application of it. I've heard that when this is brought in, it will be in the form of some kind of pilot. And I would like to see that pilot to be more inclusive. Now, I know the member for Harrow East talked about there are MPs who may not wish their constituents to know if they themselves are very ill. But what I would say to that is that if you are very ill and you're an MP, it would be odd, would it not, if you were less visible in your constituency. So your constituents might well be aware of the fact that you're not around as much, you're not as visible, and might therefore deduce that you're ill anyway. So I don't think that's as big a deal as it might seem at first glance. Everybody agrees that all workplaces should do all they can to recognise and accommodate the demands of being a new parent, particularly a nursing mother. But in this place, my concern is that limiting proxy voting to just nursing mothers, we must make sure that we don't forget fathers in all this, and make sure that they have the same consideration that new mothers do. And I would like to see us consider in all circumstances that create challenges for members actually turning up to vote. So if we're going to do it, I think we should do it with a bit more ambition. Many people today, Madam Deputy Speaker, have talked about being an MP is not like any other job. It's unique in that regard. But I've also heard people say, before I became an MP and after I become an MP, they've also said that MPs should set the standard that we would expect society to adopt, and we should live up to those standards. We will all be aware, and many members of this House, I think the mother of the House, it may well have been here, I don't know, and when paid maternity leave was finally a right that was won for women. And we know that paternity leave for fathers is still very much in its infancy, and many men in their workplaces don't feel able to take the opportunity to have paternity leave. And what I would say is, my word of caution in all this is I don't want this House to do anything. As much as I support proxy voting, I don't want this House to do anything that might unwittingly set a precedent that maternity leave, even symbolically to some unscrupulous employers, can be interfered with or eroded in any way. I think if you're on maternity leave, and that time is very important, then you should be on maternity leave and you shouldn't feel pressure to vote or write emails to your boss or whatever the particular demands of the workplace will be. So I think we need to be careful that we don't send a signal to employers that women and fathers on maternity or paternity leave can still do some tasks, can still do the odd email, can still, because I'm not talking about MPs here, I'm talking about the signal we send out there to other bosses. And I know that fathers often feel in the position they're often uncomfortable at taking paternity leave, depending on the size of their company, the nature of the place that they work, and there might not be as much understanding or acceptance of it as we would like. So I would just ask the House to be careful that if we bring in proxy voting, and I think we should, that it in no way is intended to send any signal to any other employer or workplace that maternity or paternity leave is not sacrosanct. It is sacrosanct, and it must be. It was too hard fought to achieve to be compromised in any way. Our job is to protect workers in the workplace. And we know that pregnancy discrimination is still a big issue. And that is a stark reminder how fragile rights for new mothers can very often be. And let's not do anything to compromise or erode that. In fact, we know recently there was research commissioned by the Department of Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy and the Equality and Human Rights Commission, which found that some 54,000 working mothers per year are forced out of work by pregnancy or discrimination practices. And let's tackle that, and let's protect nursing mothers and new fathers, that if maternity leave is taken, regardless of what we do here, that out there it still remains sacrosanct and it needs to be protected absolutely and not compromised, eroded or undermined in any way whatsoever.